today, man. They finally uploaded the Umar Johnson interview that a lot of people have been anticipating. A lot of people have been waiting for this interview to drop. But I gotta say, some people were disappointed today, Sam Ant, because we feel like Charlamagne and DJ Envy dropped the ball. We feel like they didn't ask the right questions. We feel like they didn't do the proper research to have somebody who is such now a controversial figure that's been accused of a lot of things, and a lot of things, look bad against this guy right now. For them not to ask one single solitary question about the activity surrounding the FDMG Academy today, I think it was a travesty to the people out there, and the people who donated their money, the single black women that seen a man that they thought had the best interest for them and their children, in particular their black boy, to build an institution, to build a school, but to no avail. They didn't ask anything, Sandman, today. Any real question about the school and his accountability and his transparency with the people's, that's not his money, with the people's money today. Sandman, I think the fix is in, man.
The interview brought on three kind of viewers, right? You had the viewers who love Umar Johnson, who ride with Umar Johnson heavy. You had the people who hate Umar Johnson, and not necessarily hate him, may disagree, or full out hate him. You got people that hate him out here. The ones that agree with Umar, the ones that disagree, and the ones that know about him but don't know about him and want to hear what he has to say. To the ones who never saw him and just heard what he has to say, they got a very articulate, a great orator, a great presentation. Yeah. Typical Umar. He's a great orator. He can talk his ass off. He could talk circles around anybody, right? To the ones who like him and the ones who support him, I ask you this, right? What out of those 42 minutes did you hear from Umar Johnson that was new or substantial to give you any substantial confidence that a school that he's been guaranteeing for 12 years is going to open?
Not just buildings, the school.
The school is going to open. Right. And then you got the people and disagree that are just going to run and fly with this. Obviously, we disagree with this situation, but I don't want to fly with this, right? I want to kind of keep it in the narrative, keep it in perspective, because we talked about it in the pre-production. Business plan, the money, the transparency behind it, the accountability behind it, all questions that we would hope a platform that prides itself in being one of the pinnacle black platforms, or the voice of the people for the black and brown and minority people out here in the Breakfast Club, would ask him and be transparent about. No hate, no agenda, just real questions. Now, I ask you this, my fellow black people, why would we not want to hold a leader accountable? Why would a leader want not to accept a hard challenge? Why would he not want to get the hard questions to show that he has full control and full confidence over a situation in the school that your boys are going to come to? Only thing that I heard new was, instead of that building being a non-alcoholic FDMG, historically black, whatever he's saying, non-alcoholic bar, sports bar, right? It's going to be a school for girls now. Right. It's continuing to be rhetoric after rhetoric after rhetoric. DJ Envy, who I got mad respect for. I can't wait to sit down with him, Caesar, and have conversations, discussions. And this is going to come up. It's going to have to, because I don't understand for the life of me how he sat quiet while they were having discussions about school and about money and about buildings and about purchasing and everything. Every other sentence out of his mouth is something about real estate or building or doing something. So you have the knowledge. This is your lane, and not rebuttal or question certain things that you heard today in regards to the purchase of the building, the operations, things like that. Very minimal conversation about it at that. It was disappointing, man.
Yeah, and this thing is not something that's put up that we want to see just, happen and the school goes belly up in 1 year. He's touted himself as the savior for black boys. So this has to work. So he's on the Breakfast Club and he puts this $750,000 figure out there once again, Sam Matt, in front of the people. And we know that was probably 2015 when he said that he collected $750,000. He's been getting donations since then. So we know that it's more. So what he's admitting to any smart businessman is that he said he needed $1 million for the schools. So far, he says he has $750,000. On the books, I guess he bought the school for $400,000. He was behind in the taxes right now and all that, but I guess that whole thing, he's in the middle of rectifying that, according to a source on YouTube. But my thing is, if he's admitting that he don't got enough money for the school, right? This is my big thing right here, and it's $1 million. He's already short that. Then once he gets the money, he's going to be begging for even more money. What about the staff? What about the busing? What about the security? What about the insurance for the building? What about all of that?
Feeding the babies, busing the baby.
Right. What about all of that? So this is like and this is why I question, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't say that Charlamagne's not a good businessman. We damn sure can't say that Envy's not a good businessman. But how do you not ask them the questions like, well, hold on. If you get into school, you would need 3 to 4 times that of the renovation. They didn't even bother to ask none of the pertinent questions. They didn't even ask him about the whole tax exemption. And I don't want to hear this thing about they don't know. They know. They got to know. Charlamagne's always on social media. He's always, prying and poking and looking at different things. He's supposed to be connected. They're supposed to, when a guest comes onto the show, and they usually do, pry into a lot of different information and ask them the question that the people want to know. They didn't do that today, Sam, man. So it's probably not that we want it to. We want this thing to pass. We want this thing to be a success, but we know that the man in charge of it right now is lying. He's not been transparent to the people. He, a lot of people could say is scamming. He hasn't been transparent to the IRS, which he's supposed to be a nonprofit organization, which means that you have to open up your books to the IRS and whatnot to make sure that you're doing the right thing with the money. He lost that exemption a couple years ago. He lied about losing the exemption. So then he owed the money on the school, which if you had $750,000, how come them taxes wasn't paid up front? All these things are pointing to this man is not serious about opening the school. He's just not, Sam, man.
Yeah,
he's not.
And you think about this. You think about the Breakfast Club, and no one wanted to go on there and railroad Umar Johnson. But how good of a man would they have made them look if the questions were asked and were answered properly? On top of the fact that you played an excerpt that I didn't even listen to all the way, but I heard it as we were doing it in the pre-production,
right,
in regards to Charlamagne saying, I gave $250,000 to South Carolina University. We together produced $800,000 for the Thurgood Marshall Fund. That's $1 million and some change right then and there. That's the $1 million that he needs right there. But why not you guys donate your money? Why didn't you donate?
That's a good question.
Okay, now there's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people, why don't y'all donate? What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your money? All great questions, but we don't have to sit back and run our mouth about what we're doing, run our mouth about this, run our mouth because we're not looking for certain pats on the back or whatever the case may give you. On top of the fact that we didn't promise to open up a goddamn school for black boys and begin taking money from the people. He talked about people, certain athletes, certain people in Hollywood donating their money. LeBron in particular, he said that LeBron put up 25% of his money. The taxpayers put up 75%. I ask you humbly,
right?
25% more than you've ever put up.
Right.
If you cared, why haven't you put up your own money, your own coin, your own dollar? It's always give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. Let's all close our eyes for a second and get rid of color. I know that's hard to do, but let's do it and put our business hats on. You got a man that says he's going to open a school 10 years ago. He's asking for donations. He doesn't give you a business plan. He doesn't give you a business structure. He doesn't give you a curriculum. He doesn't give you a staff. He doesn't give you any kind of plan. He asks you for money. You start donating for him. 3-4 years down the road, you ask him as far as where the budget's going, how the budget's doing, A, B, C, gives you nothing, blocks you, ignores you, tells you, no, I'm not telling you anything. You don't deserve a damn thing. You start looking at other behaviors and other patterns as a man, and those start to question, is this man proper enough to do these business structures? And if all of these things are red flags, one, would you put your child in that school or in that environment? And two, would you put your money in that situation? See, black people, and I'm not saying that we're wrong, but sometimes we look at somebody that can speak well,
yes, sir.
Talk on somebody that it sounds like he has our best interest or she has our best interest at heart, followed by the game, followed by the, okay, this is how you put out your money. Kind of reminds me of the sermon followed by offering time.
Yes, sir.
And then, okay, we're hook, line, and sinker brought in, and then we're so deep that we're almost blind to the obvious shit that's going on.
Right.
The Breakfast Club owed the people that are donating, owed the people that follow, owed the people that give their hard-earned money and their hard-earned time toward a man that doesn't seem to be giving it back to them. Proper narrative, proper questioning to know if this man is really who he says he is. On a national stage, they didn't do it. They dropped the ball.
And what they did was open up the floodgates for more unsuspecting people to fall for the rhetoric, to fall for the race bait, and to fall for this type of thing. Because some of the stuff, no, that undoubtedly is definitely true. What he said, but it's the same thing we've been hearing for the last 10 to 15 years. That so it's like preying on people. So now you put which is another thing. How in the hell you collect the money through Cash App? That's crazy. It should be going into an escrow. They ain't asked none of the questions like that. You know what I mean? Any businessman is going to tell you that because you don't want to be responsible for that money. You owe it to the people regardless, especially if you want to say you're a nonprofit entity, is to be transparent, to let the people know where their money, because nigga, you ain't put no money to this shit. All you think he's a good orator and he's good at begging. He's a horrible businessman, period. I mean, that's all I can say. This is probably gonna be the last time saying, man, that we're gonna deal with this. We talk to ad nauseum, trying to get the people, to see this situation. At this point, if you want to continue to put your money into unfertile land, because keep doing it, because it's another thing. And I'll let you go right after this. It's like he talks about the charter and he's banging on people and disrespecting Oprah's and trying to down what LeBron is doing. But it's just like, that's the smart thing to do, because if you're talking about an independent school, especially you, Umar, I could tell you got about a 10% chance of failing. You know what I'm saying? That school, because within the first 5 years, you're probably not going to be able to get the funding. These people were smart to say, all right, let's use the taxpayers' money to fund this thing. So if they want to come in and shut the school down, okay, I don't lose, but you want to do this thing independently. Don't you realize that it's tough in business, especially with a school? Who's paying this tuition? This is a multi-million-dollar school, so you already need 5, and who knows what the tuition got to be to have the upkeep of building like that, to pay the staff, to keep everything going. You see, real businessmen think things through. He's not thinking things through, and it's really, people shouldn't put their money in it because it's a project that's destined to fail, simply because, not because of the undertaking, but the man that's in charge. He's incompetent.
No, the idea was a phenomenal idea.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that can make some certain things happen and piggyback off the idea. Like you said, the person in charge of this one in particular, not the man to do it. It just is what it is. It's no hate. It's nothing, no hate against Umar, nothing like that. It's what you showed us. It's what you've put on the table. Why would we send our children? Why would anybody send their children to a school like that? Now, I brought up something, and it's just interesting to me before I close out, and we close out this conversation in 2019, because we started it in January. I remember now, something, it's all reflecting. January 9, 2019, we had the conversation. We're like, dog, it might be time to start talking about Umar. Supporters up until then, over and over and over, started questioning, didn't say a word. It was time to talk. And then we kind of railroad or fall into December 2019. It flew. This will be our last time talking about this, because it's nothing else to say. It really isn't. But you look at a man who's called himself a principal, a superintendent, if I'm not mistaken, a teacher, a psychologist of Black boys. We're in an era of YouTube. We're in an era of Instagram, social media. We see the lines that are being drawn with this man. You see the people who support him. You see the people who don't. If there was anybody out there, as far as faculty, as far as former colleagues, as far as anybody who have ever worked with him, why haven't you heard of anybody that came out and said anything? Like, let's really strip away all of the personal feelings and just look at certain ways and certain behaviors.
Right.
And just come to a real harsh conclusion. You bought me the Umar book. I read it.
Yeah.
I was introduced through you. I remember you going to certain lectures. I remember you buying the book and supporting the brothers movement. I remember talking to other brothers and them supporting the movement. Investments have been made. Proper care and proper thought has been made into putting success into what he was putting into with the school and things like that. But it's like, now, dog, look, you're talking to grown men. You're talking to grown women. You ain't going to be able to play us for long.
Nope.
And that time is up. And hopefully people can see that. And right now, we just watch the circus continue to go ahead and
and it's like, and I gotta say this real quick, because we both own our own businesses and we own a business together. If this man was on the up and up, we would love to donate to helping that
hard,
thing
bro.
coming to fruition.
It
So
wouldn't be
there's
hard.
no way in the world that anybody could say that we was haters, because we started off supporting. But it's like when you get to see somebody's actions, it tends to change, you know, the way you feel about them in life.
Right,
you know what I mean?
true.
If you had somebody in a relationship and they was cheating on you and beating you up and stuff, and that ain't gonna be as cute as it looked at the beginning. You know what I mean? It's gonna get rocky and rough to the point where you leave and you're gonna view them negatively. So that's the situation here. And we will still see what happens. But I definitely want to put that out there. Like, we got plenty, and that'd be a tax write-off for us. Maybe not, because they ain't got the nonprofit, you know, status, because you don't want to be transparent. But if he did, that'd be a tax write-off for us. That wouldn't be no problem. And especially to help Black boys, kids, or whatever. We did that in general. We already done it, and we continue to do it. But we just won't put our money into his hands for him to continue to splurge and not be accountable.
Facts. And to the Breakfast Club, I think that we would probably talk to an Envy faster than we would talk to a Charlamagne. Who knows? It could happen anytime. But 2020, I would love to have a conversation with both them brothers and just ask, did you know? Did you not know?
Give them the benefit. Maybe they didn't.
Just give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And give them some information to take it from there. But certain things that behaviors that are administered as far as Envy not saying anything, Charlamagne not donating, as pro-Black as he is, kind of throw red flags to me that y'all kind of smell that he's full of shit. And the fact that y'all had him on that platform is kind of dang.
Maybe they were sparing him, but, you know, we'll see. I'm sure they will hear the backlash from different people, you know, out there. But I want to talk about this real quick, Sam, man.